we are here today with Mr. Maynard to ask him some questions about sustainability and natural resources. So, what is your profession and career, and how is it related to sustainability?
I'm a senior design project or process engineer for a company called Penn Color. Our business isn't particularly sustainable per se, but we try to take as many steps as we can to make it as sustainable as possible.
So what inspired you to choose this profession or career?
Yeah, it's an engineering job. I've always done things mechanically inclined as a kid, so an engineer is kind of a progression of, you know, it's a big boy's mechanic, I guess. So it's a good career. I have fun playing with all the machines and designing, seeing things built.
So, what would your definition of sustainability be?
Something that can go on, say, indefinitely without a lot of negative impact for other, say, environmental things or populations.
Mm-hmm.
So something that's kind of continuum.
What materials do you consider to be sustainable, and then what materials do you consider to not be sustainable?
Wood is probably one of the more sustainable products we have now. And to answer a little bit of that last question, sustainability is something in time. Like petroleum is considered non-sustainable now. 200 years ago, it was very sustainable because we didn't use much of it. And so it was being created far more than it was being used. Now it's considered unsustainable because it's being used at a higher rate that it's being created. Wood 20 years ago was considered unsustainable because we were using more of it than it was being created. But with developments in materials, it's kind of turned around where wood's growing at a higher rate than it's being consumed. So that's a sustainable material. So all your petroleum products are considered now non-sustainable. Recycling can help curb some of that. So if we're using plastics and we recycle a high percentage of them, it gets it a little bit more sustainable. Alcohols could be considered sustainable because that's an agricultural product. You know, biofuels could be, you know, to replace some of the bio petroleum products or petroleum products.
So, what resources do you often use to keep your products as sustainable as possible?
We're looking into more water-based products, alcohol-based products. A lot of things we use have solvents and oils. So by using more water-based products and alcohol-based products, it's something that's you know. We also try to use organic pigments rather than inorganic pigments that you could consider are sustainable, depending on how crazy you want to go.
So what is the process that you must do to make your products as sustainable as possible? Like what do you have to do to convert from the oils to the alcohols?
A lot of R&D goes into it. Bottom line, it has to be profitable. We can develop things that are water-based or non, petroleum-based, but unless you can sell them or they hold up, it's a waste of time. So you have to develop something that it's marketable.
So does your company receive competition against other companies that are maybe as sustainable as yours?
Yes, and that's what drives us to become. The market's driving sustainability. So to compete, we have to develop more sustainable products. So we'd like to think that we're leading that direction. It's hard to say which company starts it, but we spend a lot of money and time trying to develop sustainable products.
So what do you think the relationship between making your product sustainable and making energy sustainable is?
it should be a conservation of energy, and that's some. Part of, yeah, I guess. That's a tough question for our industry. Uh, we're a power-hungry industry. In other words, our plant draws a lot of power. So to put solar panels in to augment what we use is not practical. What we can do though is make better use of the power we do use. Back 20, 30 years ago, we were using heat recovery when very few other companies were. So heat recovery is when instead of losing all your heat, you're taking it back in and putting it back in. Right now, we're designing some new facilities where heat recovery is a major portion of it. Maybe 20% we can save in heat recovery alone. We're trying to use, we're using a LEED model, if you know what that is.
No.
LEED is leading environmental engineering design. And I could have the E's backwards. I can never remember that. Basically, you're designing around sustainability. So instead of buying vinyl tiles or using epoxy flooring, you may use ceramic tiles. And instead of just buying ceramic tiles, you'll say, where can we buy these ceramic tiles? So if there's a plant up in Allentown, which is a half an hour away, versus a plant in Nebraska, which is more environmentally friendly. So if they make the tiles in Allentown, they mine the materials for the tiles in Allentown and then ship them down. That's a very, and then they're recyclable. So when we're done with them, we can. So that's a prime example of LEED, trying to build, around things that are recyclable, nearby, renewable, and then very energy efficient. So putting more insulation in the building, very efficient appliances, heat recovery, things like that.
So what do you think is the most sustainable resource of natural energy?
Well, all energy comes from the sun.
Yeah.
So the easier you can extract energy from the sun, the better. PV or photovoltaic ultimately should be the leading source of renewable energy. Right now, it's very inefficient as far as what you put in to get it out. It's getting better and better. Actually, our company is doing research on some new technology that's cutting edge. I can't really tell you anything more about it than that, but it's kind of exciting that we're putting an investment into something like that. If it works, it'll be a real big moneymaker, because if you can gain 5% on PV cells, that's huge. Wind, they tote it as a good alternative. A lot of times I don't see it, and it all depends where you are too. If you're on the coast, wind's a great source. If you're low, it's not a good source. If you're high on a hill, it's a good source. Arizona's a good source for solar. They get very few, much. I guess I can't remember. There's a term for how many sunny days you get. I'm drawing a blank on that. Old age. So it depends where you are, and it's same with getting off topic here, but water. We're in an area here in the Northeast where there's plenty of water. In the Southwest, water is very short, so you could almost consider water non-sustainable in the Southwest, where in the Northeast it's very sustainable. So with these alternative energies,
so it all depends on the location.
Exactly. Hydroelectric is awesome as far as efficiency and what you get out of it, but you need something that could, you could dam up or block or have a fall, I'd love to do it here on the property too. It won't generate a lot of power, but it'd be a neat thing to have.
So what do you see in the future of sustainability or natural energy?
Like I said, I think everything's going to PV or photovoltaic cells. I think that's where it has to eventually go. I don't think PV is going to take everything out of the loop. I think biofuels, biomass, um, biodiesel would probably be the most practical, because you can develop so much energy with solar PV cells, right, for your homes and things like that. But you still need fuels that you can put on a plane or move around. So your biofuels are going to be big for that. Maybe you can make hydrogen with the PV cells if you had a high conversion factor, which we don't have right now. But I think biofuels and PV will be augmented with wind and hydro. But like I say, they're limited to where they can do it.
Yeah.
And wave action is something that I've always thought was kind of cool.
To generate power from waves. That would be right.
Right.
So yeah, that's all the questions we have for you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
for your time.
time.
Oh, you're welcome.